welcome back to my channel. It's been a while, so I mean you can skip ahead if you're not interested in the update, but basically I've been away for about a month or two or so, depending on where I plan on finishing this video. And that's basically because I've been a bit busy at the start of the year. I've had a lot of things happen. One of the things is like I moved house, and it's just been so hectic going back and forth, like moving things, cleaning out the old house. I've also gotten a job, a full-time job as a research assistant, and also tutoring at university, among other odd jobs. And so I've been trying to coordinate different jobs together, which has been a bit hard, but I think I'm getting there, and hopefully I can start this back up a bit more regularly. So yeah, I want to talk a bit more about my job experience, maybe in another video or so, because I think it might be interesting. Anyway, as I promised, this is going to be the part 2 to my graduate job search video. And in this video, I'm going to be covering different jobs that I've been applying for and different jobs that are relevant if you want to go down the psychology career path. Specifically, if you want to go for the masters, these are the kind of jobs that could be helpful in getting the relevant work experience that's required for you to get an entry that will look good in an interview. And I guess, yeah, any other careers that could potentially lead you down more like psychology pathway. I don't have a tripod, so my camera's balancing on the bed. I hope it's not too shaky, but let's work with that. And so I've narrowed down my list to kind of 10 jobs that I think are pretty relevant, and I want to talk about how relevant I think each job is for specifically trying to get into masters, and also comment on the realistic chances, in my opinion anyway, of actually getting that job. And that's kind of based on my experience in applying for these roles, as well as talking to people who are also going for these type of positions as well. But first of all, I want to preface this video by saying that something that's good to consider when you're looking for a job is to kind of strike a balance or kind of weigh up between your goals. So whether that means compromising between waiting and searching for the ideal job that could be competitive but is the perfect experience and exact thing that you want to do, with just purely wanting to get any kind of psychology relevant experience, and even going for unpaid positions, but perhaps it's something that could help you get a paid position in the future, or just taking a job to pay the bills, even if it's not that relevant at the moment. But a balance of these things, they're all different for everyone, and it really depends on your current circumstances, your values, and kind of like what you want to do. All right, so let's get started with the list. So the first kind of positions that I really wanted to apply for when I was searching for jobs is a research assistant, and this is the position that I'm working in now. So when I was looking for this kind of job, I heard that it is pretty competitive. So I think like these type of jobs are pretty competitive to get, because there's a lot of PhD and master's students who are also going for these positions, either to get experience or because the academic job market is not that great at the moment. So I think you definitely have a better chance of getting this position if you finish your 4th year, because you do have these research kind of and project management skills that they're looking for. But in your undergrad, of course, you can go for kind of like intern, volunteering type of research assistant positions, which can help you gain the skills necessary to get a paid job in the future. So you can intern for free in research labs. It helps to have a look at the different labs. They usually have like a little web page at your university, and see if you can contact the directors of the labs and ask if there's any opportunities available. I've also been advised to ask around for paid positions as well by emailing lab heads and researchers directly, because a lot of these positions aren't actually advertised. They try to have a look for an applicant internally before putting a job ad. In my experience, I've only seen pretty big kind of research centers or projects specifically advertise formally through either like the university website or like websites like Seek and things like that. Personally, I felt a bit insecure to just cold email professors like that, but I did hear that some people have gotten some mixed results. And it helps if you know a researcher that has gotten funding for a particular project, because chances are they'll have funding to pay you as a research assistant. But of course, if you just want to get some unpaid experience, maybe like doing a couple of hours a week, then definitely reach out to projects that you're interested in. And if you want to be a psychologist, chances are you want to look for positions that allow you to work with clients a bit more directly, because that will help you develop the people skills that are needed to be a psychologist, and that can really show the interviewers that you've got what it takes to be a psychologist. So a popular kind of job like that is an ABA therapist or EDSM therapist, which is like similar therapy that has been developed for children with autism, really young kids. And usually you can either apply as to be part of a company or be hired directly by the family. So this job doesn't require any experience. And I'm pretty sure you can do it when you're second, third year. And usually you're provided with training on the job. They tell you exactly like what to do, how to interact with the child, which is really good. But I did interview for one company that required me to take a short course, and they were actually going to reimburse me for that course. So that is really good, because then you'd end up with an extra certification of an ABA therapist, which would make you more employable and can definitely help you stand out from other ABA therapists. And I think this job is super relevant for masters, because you're involved directly in providing a psychological therapy to a client. And I think this could be a really good job if you like kids and you wanted to work in developmental educational psychology, because they deal more with autism and developmental disorders rather than clinical psychology. But it definitely does help, because you've practicing these people skills and the principles of psychological therapy. And I think this job is fairly easy to get. There seems to be a demand, but I think you really do need to show to the family or to the company that's hiring you that you are confident to deal with kids, and that you can deal with things like if the child is not having a good day or throwing a tantrum, and you've got the energy, you've got the kind of bubbly personality to deal with that. And another similar kind of job is support worker roles. So these roles, they tend to vary in what you do, and you generally assist the client in their everyday life. And these things can be like helping people with disability go on public transport, do shopping with them, could be just spending time with them, going on outings, things like that. There are roles that work with different either physical or mental disabilities, the elderly or other vulnerable people. So I think this is like really interesting and varied work. And you can also work as a teacher's aide or ed support in schools, where you help children in class do their work. I can imagine that these roles would be super rewarding, because you're really helping people, and it's really relevant for masters because you are working with a client and you're assisting people who are vulnerable. And I think these jobs really require you to be empathetic and patient, the qualities that a psychologist should have. And I think that these jobs don't require experience, but a lot of them do require you to have a car. So that's personally a bit of a problem, but definitely good to check out. And again, like with ABA therapists, it does seem like these jobs are in demand. I always see them being advertised. I've also seen some websites where you can sign up to be a support worker, and they sort of match you with different clients. So I think it's pretty easy to get into. And similar to these roles would be caseworkers, child protection officers, community engagement officers, outreach workers. These roles require you to have contact and assist clients from disadvantaged backgrounds. And these jobs are related a bit more to social work, so they might either require you to have some experience or ask for specific certification. like a certificate in community services or mental health, but I did see some exceptions, so it's still worth to check them out or at least inquire with the contacts to see if they'll take you on. And again, like a lot of these roles also require you to have a car, and you do have to undergo like some pretty extensive background checks as well. Admin work can be pretty good as well, and it can vary in terms of how directly you are dealing with clients. So you could work either as a receptionist in a psychology clinic or work in some kind of like a intake type position where you are dealing kind of like with first appointment bookings. And I think it's pretty relevant because you get a sense of how the processes work and how a psychology clinic operates. And if you go for like a intake officer type roles, you are dealing with patients, having to administer them to the clinic and setting up appointments for them, having that kind of initial contact before they go and see a psychologist. A lot of these roles do take psych graduates, and even I've known people who are in second, third year undergrad, they've gotten jobs as a secretary or doing some kind of admin work for psych clinics. And I think it could be pretty relevant again because you're working in a mental health setting. And although it's not directly, but it is still something. But that being said, like a lot of the general admin work that is pretty entry level, and they do take people who are current students. But I found a lot of the roles that are based in medical centers or kind of bigger mental health centers, they do require you to have previous experience in medical administration, which I feel like it's a bit different to normal administration. And some of them do ask for specific admin certification as well. So it could be a bit hard, but again, it depends where you apply. Like a small practice might be more readily able to take you on, whereas a big center might be looking for more specialized admin professionals. Next, industry, research, or data analyst positions. They can be really good if you want to go for more research type roles and gain experience in that. I wouldn't say that they're super relevant if you want to be a psychologist, but you'll definitely be hireable as a psych grad. So first of all, you've got graduate programs. A lot of the big corporate companies, they have specific programs hiring different grads from different disciplines. Usually they try to hire people from like business, commerce, psychology, marketing, for 1 or 2 year programs where you go around the company and try out different roles and positions in different areas. And towards the end, you basically pick where you prefer and you get a permanent job out of that. So these are like one to 2 year programs where you develop different skill sets by working in different departments. So like roles like a consultant or analyst, a policy advisor, you could work for like marketing, sales teams, things like that. And at the end, that could turn into a permanent position at the company if you're good. And there's a really big range of different programs and roles that are available. There's a website called gradconnect.com, which posts all the different programs that are available. Personally, I don't know exactly what they do. They use a lot of like corporate language that is hard for me to understand. But these programs seem to be really good in giving you a broad set of skills that are relevant in industry and definitely make you hireable in case you decide that you don't want to go through and become a psychologist. And of course, it's a very stable option as well because it is a 1 to 2 year contract with option to extend, but you do usually have to apply a year ahead. And there are certain kind of intake dates. And I know some of these programs can be a bit competitive, but yeah, definitely a good option if you decide that you don't want to be a psychologist. Same with marketing. A lot of these companies, they do hire dedicated marketing and commerce grads, but some marketing and advertising agencies specifically hire psychology graduates, especially for more entry-level positions. Honestly, I haven't seen too many of these roles that I would be eligible for, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I think it's still worth to have a look around and research some of these companies. Same with HR. I've heard that psych grads are really attractive to these kind of roles because of our ability to work with people, look at different perspectives, kind of understand the motives behind different behavior, attitudes, things like that. And these are really people oriented jobs, which could be super relevant. But many of the entry level HR positions that I've seen so far, they've asked for specific HR qualifications, but it still could be possible to apply for jobs with wording like, for example, if they want tertiary qualifications in human resources, or a related discipline. So a related discipline, of course, would be psychology. So do have a look at the wording when they ask for the qualifications and see if they're willing to be flexible with it. And of course, it is also worth to inquire with the hiring manager to see if they'd still consider you for a role like that, especially if it's entry level. And research analyst and data analyst positions are also good positions to go for. I've actually found out about these roles through LinkedIn because they've suggested these jobs to me. And they sound pretty similar to what a research assistant would do, but it's more related to do with corporate like companies, market research, and you'd be doing like analyses, writing reports, and delivering the results to the company or related stakeholders. And I think this job is more suited to those who have finished their fourth year because then you do have that kind of project management skill and also relevant data analysis skills. The data analyst positions, I think, do require a bit more specialized knowledge that sometimes don't get covered in psychology. Like they require you to know certain like programming languages or programs, but research analyst positions seem to be a bit more general. And I have interviewed for a research analyst role for a market research company before, so definitely something that could be a bit different and interesting to go for if you are into research and you don't necessarily want to go into academia. And kind of a related role, I think, is policy advisor. I'm not exactly sure of the exact name of the job. They do kind of have slightly different wording depending on the exact role that it is. But mainly, this job is about doing research, reading policy documents, and supporting policymakers and people who advocate for policy changes. So whether that could be for working with local government or lobbyists or kind of community organizations. And I think this role requires less technical knowledge and more the ability to read lots of documents, legal documents, policies, and be able to report back and write reports and work with different people and liaison between government officials and public servants and community organizations. And okay, so yeah, that was 10 jobs that psychology grads can apply for. And these were kind of the positions that I was looking for. Of course, this isn't an exhaustive list. From what I've seen, there are other positions that are available to us that are a bit more specialized and they have like really unique names. So that's why I didn't really go into them because they are very specific sometimes to that company, or they kind of slide under the roles that I've just talked about. But I think starting with those could be good, at least to kind of get a handle on the type of work that is available and the type of organizations that are willing to hire psychology graduates or companies that are related to psychology, mental health that you could work for. So yeah, it's definitely good to have a look into different sectors. So you've got like community organizations, you've got the industry, and not-for-profit organizations, especially if they relate to like community social issues. And all of these roles, I think you can definitely twist to appeal to your interviewers if you are going for the psych masters. Otherwise, they could potentially be careers that are not specifically within psychology, but allow you to use your skills and your degree. So yeah, stay tuned for part 3 of the series, which will talk about how to improve and spice up your cover letter and resume writing to apply for these positions. See you guys next time. Hopefully not in a month and a half.